Jose, what's up, man? Are you there? There you go. Looks like you connected audio.
Yeah. How's it going? Hold
Perfect,
on.
man. Good. How are
Let me
you?
remove, let me remove a bunch of windows I have here open, man.
Your weather looks great there.
Oh man, look, this is my pool, so I'm here just hanging out.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. Nice, man.
Yeah, let me close all these windows. I have like 20 of them open. I'm just, you know how that ADHD kicks in, and I need to close all these windows.
Right, right.
Yeah, we're good, man. So, hey, you're looking good, man. Look at you.
Yeah, I grew the hair out. It's gotten long, and it's not bad weather here either. But man, Northern California is hard to beat for weather because it's dry there too. So I love
Yeah,
Northern California weather.
I'm in the Central Coast, so I'm by Monterey, California. So
Are
like
you
we
okay?
we only get 65 degrees max.
Really?
Yeah, we don't get any heat. We only get like hot for us is 70. 70, we're like you could run me over, we'll be good.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that like temperate. What is the coldest it gets in the winter?
We live in a really good environment. We hit 55, 54, 50 at the most. We hover 50 to 65. Like
Okay.
it's a really idyllic environment because this is the farm capital. So we have good temperature, so we feel the agriculture. So we're called the salad bowl.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love all of California just has a lot to offer. I've got a good buddy that's up in Auburn, California.
Hmm.
Um, Probably up Sacramento area. Love
Hmm.
that area. I've tried hiking Shasta with him a couple of times and failed the last time we tried. But so
That's not,
right now, tell me you're an agent there as well currently, correct?
so a lot of things have changed, right? We haven't spoken
Yeah.
maybe for 4 or 5 years. I'm just gonna go to the flow where we're chatting, and you
Yeah. No.
just
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me what you're up to now. Yeah, I really want to know what you're up to. What's changed?
So when we met, I was doing a lot of single family homes.
Yeah.
I was flipping them and buying them and occasionally wholesaling them or assigning them. And then I think a year later, I got a lot of my capital and I started buying a lot of multifamily real estate. And so since then up to now, um, slowly shifted from the single family game a year later after I bought my first building, a year later after that. And so I just been buying a lot of multifamily properties. So I just bought a 47 unit in March 4th before the whole pandemic that hit us in the California to shelter us in place.
Yeah.
So it was kind of so that's what has happened since then. So now I own and control a little bit over 520 units in California. So in one building in Oklahoma City, which is 189 units. So that one, all these is it's just growing. It's a niche that I found that I really like.
Congrats, man. That's awesome. But how has this the pandemic affected you? Are your tenants performing, or what percentage of them are not performing because of this?
Yeah. So basically, I keep track on the grace period, the collection reports. So through the first through the fifth, we collected in April. We were at overall portfolio. We were at 84%. That was
That's
the
good.
I know, right? I think that was great above average. And some properties were at 71, some were at 92. So overall, the whole portfolio is we're at 85. So that wasn't really bad. We took action right away in March. As soon as that hit, we sent out letters to all the tenants that we were with them, letting them know that we're also going to get affected. And so if you need help, we provided a whole list of resources to all the agencies and letting them know that we're doing the homework for you, in other words. And so we do have our slightly left field hitters that will come and say, look, Donald Trump said we're not going to get evicted. And that's cool. I get it. I just move along. That's the whole idea about multifamily because I have a lot of them. So I could lose, Uncle Joe right now, and I'll deal with you back in September if everything gets done.
Right, right. Yeah. So by having so many doors, you can withstand a handful of those guys. What level would put you guys in peril? Like at what level does it become detrimental to you for that the non-performers?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I do stress tests on all my properties. I look at what's the amount of vacancy I need to lose before I start using my own capital from my savings. So I need to be at 60 to 62%. That's my percentage in terms of occupancy. So I could lose 40%, maybe 35%, and we'll be hovering breaking even points. And that's overall. So I do an overall portfolio. There's some that I could go up to 50%,
Wow. Okay.
60%. Yeah, it's just you have to underwrite really conservative, as you know, and then and so my partners are the lenders, so they'll also underwrite my deal. So when I'm going to go in, they're going to say, Jose, I know you needed 75, but we want to lend you 65. So I just follow it.
So what is your this is why I like talking to you, is because even when I sat down with you first, right, you've always been very smart about your underwriting and before
Oh
you
yeah.
buy, and that's why you're successful, is because you don't lose very often.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, everybody's going to lose occasionally, but it doesn't sound like you do very often. So what is your cookie cutter? What do you love? How many units? How many buildings? Like, what's your favorite type of building? If you could pick one, what is it?
Well, multifamily is like my bread and butter, first of all. And
How many
anything
doors? How many doors is your?
the smallest, I get that question a lot from brokers. Like I talk to brokers every day, like literally, because they know that I'm a player. They're like, we want to deal with transactional buyers. And like I just made an offer yesterday on this current times, and it was a 16 unit in Concord, California.
Yeah.
And I look at where I'm at in my life cycle and career. A lot of people will. It's a kind of a paradigm I'll share with you, because it's not really a per door basis. It's really, for me, it's more a do I really want to go through this deal and get another 50,000 a year? Where am I at? Do I have time for that so I could go for it? That's the way I look at it, because right now I could sit really good. I could sit down and just kind of fly it. But typically in California, I like to buy in California mainly. It's more expensive, but I like to look at deals that at least minimal will give me 50,000 a year pre-tax cash flow for me. For me, there's partners, of course, and you could look at the deal. But if it doesn't give me that cash flow, I buy it and I sell it. So I'll buy it and I'll just get out, but I'll make a few hundred thousands. In single family, it'll be 30,000, fifty
Right.
thousand. Here it's 500,000, even 1 million. So right now I have a property for sale. Gross profit will be 2 million, and I bought that in 2017. So you could see like the time of and leverage. So it really goes. That's like right now. If you ask me when 6 months ago, my property in Oklahoma, that one, um, it's gonna pre-tax flow. You're talking about 200 a year. That's the scalability of multifamily. 6.4 was a purchase price, and NOI is my job to kick in the NOI that'll kick in the value.
Okay. What where do you get bank financing, or is it typically all private?
From both. I use all kinds of different sources. Private, hard money, permanent, such as Freddie and Fannie Mae, insurance companies. You recently HUD, and HUD is going to be the biggest player as of today moving forward now, because all the lenders, even hard money lenders, hit the brakes, as you know, and
Right.
they're basically saying, we don't know, Jose, where we're heading in December, so we don't want to take any losses. But they'll lend me money to specific borrowers, of course, to a certain degree. They'll say, we'll lend you 50%, and I'll still be okay with it, honestly, if I needed one, because they'll act quickly.
Right. Right.
I use those, and I use bank lines, credit lines, my corporate bank line as well, because I have a credit score. As we could expand this conversation with corporate
Right.
credit score. So I use all kinds of different, depending on the cost of capital, to make the deal work.
That's interesting. I haven't flipped large multifamilies. It's one of the parts of real estate I haven't done. So I'm going to have to maybe have some future conversations with you, because the single family, it's a volume game, right? You're making 20 or 30 per deal. And so in order to make a few $100,000 a year, you've got to run a certain level of volume. But
Yep.
if you're making 2 million on a transaction, you only
Oh
have to do
yeah.
one of those every couple of years. You don't have to do them. And your
You need
value add, is your value add in that when you're flipping those, is it physical repairs to the property, or is it more management and occupancy rates and quality of tenant, or
yeah,
both?
you a little bit of both, but ultimately, it's really how you operate the business of the property. That includes management, tenants, occupancy, maintaining repair costs. For example, I'm very methodical when I'm doing my underwriting. For example, um, I underwrite my properties literally every Friday because I get reports from my management. I demand a report every Friday of collectiveness, occupancies, and so I look at, if in the last 90 days, if I see my water bill peak up, then that means that either we have a leak or we have a over occupied tenants that are bringing in other people or something. So that you got to mitigate. So you got to continuously overlook at the property so that your NOI could keep going up, because that'll eat up your profits.
Right.
So it's overseeing expenses, overseeing tenancy profile, overseeing management, because I fired my one of them in January 1st. It was planned, and I had given them a 6-month notice, which it was normally a 30-day notice. I'm pretty straightforward dude. I'm like, look, it's not going to work out the first of the year. Let's walk out, but I need to get you to do what you need to do by January 1st. We handshake hands and go forward. But I let them go because they were not really overlooking my building with repairs, and I get bothered by that. I'm not a slumlord. These tenants are not. I started noticing, why is one movie now? Why is this other one movie now? Right? It's not the rent. It was never the rent. It was the fact that they were not getting attentive on the repairs. Even a simple email, they were not reply. And so for me, it was like, that's a reflection on my business. So I
Right.
let it go. I said, I don't care. That's what we did, and we're in good terms. But I look at the operations, management, very important, and then obviously the hard costs that go in when you're renovating, or renovating while they're living, per se.
And do you,
Trifecta.
yeah, do you build your management team, or do you, are they companies you typically hire that manage your properties?
I hire management companies. There's just different strategy for that too. So I have a property in East Oakland. I mean, it's like as hyphy as you could get, right? It's just, you could see cars doing donuts in the middle of the day, and the cops won't show up, and the cops will not even go. I mean, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like that. It's just, it's just like your property. And I only bought it was because I bought it so low, below replacement cost, that you could build 2 3 more of them for the same price. And so for that property, I use a management company that deals with properties that are really run down. I couldn't hire a management company that was A class and say, because these guys are gonna cuss you out. You better be tough. And
You got to
so
have a little hood in you to manage it.
you have to, and you need to resemble that, and if I could say it that way, and they don't have no offense. So you find a management company that does those properties. So third party management companies. So I have another one in San Jose, which is right next to Whole Foods. So I got to choose the management company that walks in with the suit and kind of shows up and says, uses apps, and kind of resembles that area. That's what they want to deal with. So I use third party companies, and I choose them really methodical. I'm very personalized. I don't know if they think I'm an a-hole, but I'm just I pay for what I get. That's all I say. You know.
At the end of the day, if you're all making money, if they're good business people, that's all they want, right? And
Yeah.
you're paying them and you're getting paid on it. And so everybody wins. And that's what I've always appreciated with you and speaking with you, is you're always upfront. If it's a deal, right off the start, you'll say, no, I'm not interested in doing it, or yes, I am. And you go forward with it. And so,
That's right. Yeah.
no, so it's appreciated for me, especially in real estate, because real estate isn't a straightforward game. A lot of times you deal with a lot of hucksters.
Oh, it's real, and then that's the whole reason we're here, right? Because there's opportunities for us, and you have to clean up the mess.
Right. Do you see a lot of opportunities in the multi-level and commercial game coming your way, because that's your play now because of this pandemic? Do you expect to go on a little buying spree or see a lot of opportunity in the near future?
Yeah, I've been getting it a nonstop since I was telling you it doesn't stop, at least for our business, our company. But forecasting down the road, I'm gonna see a lot of deals. I'm already seeing them already right now, meaning um, I communicate a lot with management companies, and I ask them, is there properties coming up in the market? And they openly they'll tell you because they want to be in business, right? If
Right.
the owner goes bankrupt, they're not going to manage it. So they're like, contact this owner. He's struggling. So
Interesting.
yeah, I know it's a cutthroat business. Look, it's just, I mean, they're doing a service for him too, in a sense, because he may need help. We could partner with it. Anyways, I see a lot of stuff coming already. Um, it's going to be a deal where it's going to wipe out a lot of, obviously, in the single family game as well, the amateurs that over leverage or just didn't manage the property correctly a year or two to prepare for this low vacancy of tenants not paying. So it's going to come down to that. Um, I think even, I mean, every day I get a new deal every day, and I don't know. I don't know how to respond, but the only way I respond is if it's not a deal that grosses our company 80 or 100, and not being stingy is just the fact that for the risk factor, I'm not looking at it, and they are bringing them. It's funny, like you tell them, they'll find it, and it's coming in. It's just no. It's now what I did is that when this whole pandemic was going, right away what I did is I uh called my management teams to start strategizing, and then I called the capital partners. Are you gonna hang in here, or are you gonna go out? And some of them went out, straight
Really?
out. We're straight out. They're like, Jose, we're gonna furlough all our employees. Um, we're gonna hit the brakes. We don't know what's gonna happen. They got shook, and I respect that. That's fine. I just looked at the people that were still having certainty in the market, and HUD, Freddie Mac, and Fannie Mae are your partners at this point, because the other guys, they use money from Main Street, and these guys are using it from the government.
Interesting.
Oh
Yeah, and the
yeah.
government's going to stand behind it. But man, it's so interesting talking to you about this. I've got to digest a little bit because it's such a
Oh, I
different.
got so much. Like I
Yeah,
could share with you. I love it. I mean, it's just that I'm really dived in deep with every detail that's going on, government funding, the forecast with occupancy. I mean, I know every market how it's going to get hit. It's retracting, as you know. The West Coast, when it's really hot, people detract and they go to the middle markets. As you know, they go to Oklahoma as an example. But when things get tough, people come back to the coast. It
right.
just depends. They come back to the, let's just say, West Coast in this example, or
Yeah,
New
because
York.
markets get so aggressive when it's aggressive. Unless you're playing with your own cash, the margins are so slim on the coast that they've got to go to the places like Oklahoma or Illinois, or where the margins are fat enough to still make money.
Yep.
Um, but now they're coming back to your market. Then
Yes,
that
they're
accurate?
coming back. I mean, all the commercial and retail, they're getting slammed 100%. There's no doubt about them. Hotel business are done. The As you could see, travel, Airbnb businesses are done. I think all the retail business operators, they classify as operators or principals. They're moving into multifamily because it's more stabilized. And once things get back to normal, they'll go back to retail. But they're all coming here, and I only hear that from all the influx from the brokers who are just sharing that you got a lot of people that had commercial. They're unloading all that to jump into the housing because housing is needed. And it's essential. They need to live there.
So do you expect to sell a lot of your portfolio if it's going to be at high? Do you expect to sell some of your portfolio during this rush into the industry and then
That's a good
replenish your inventory?
Yeah, that's a good question. Everything that I own, I hold. I literally hold it. I mean, that was my idea. I wanted to go in so that it could just kind of have a piggyback, to hold back. But the good thing is that a lot of the properties they cash flow, you could hit 40%. So I'm putting one in the market, which I put it in the market last week. Um, it's for 3 million. If it sells, it sells, but I'm cash flowing. So I'm still rejuvenating everything as nothing was happening. So if somebody fishes out and they lost a lot of money in their stock market. They want to get a 5% because they believe in California, whatever not, then they could buy this property, in which I'm there. So I'm putting myself out there, but I'm not going to force myself to take a haircut because I don't need to. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah, you're in a position where you don't have to sell. It only sells if it makes enough
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. And
So,
that's the way I look at it.
so do you consider yourself a syndicate? Is that kind of what you do? Is you syndicate these deals? Is that?
Yeah, so there's a few ways. Syndicate, obviously, as you know, is you bring a pool of people of money and you give them equity or whatnot. And I do a lot of different ones. I do some where syndicate, and I do some that I buy my own, which I bring private partners, like debt partners, as you know,
Yeah.
debt partners versus equity partners. And every partner has they have their own agenda in place. Some don't want to stay longer than a year. Some want to stay 5, 10 years. So I have product, if you name it, for both. And I have product for your industry, for like life insurance companies that want to partner up with on my properties, because a lot of them don't want to partner up with an operator until they show a certain liquidity and net worth on their portfolio. They want to know you're operating. So I'm at that, God willingly, I'm at that level now where that's why I don't sell it, because I could show my portfolio.
Yeah. If you sold too much, then you wouldn't be able to sell. Cause that's where I got my start in business, basically, was a financial advisor. And
Uh-huh.
Minnesota Life was one of the huge underwriters, and they held real estate as a large portion of their portfolio to guarantee the funds of their insured.
Yeah.
So, but they you needed to qualify at a certain level according to, gosh, who were they using for their underwriting? You had to qualify at a certain level, or they wouldn't even play with you, because if you're too small, there's too much risk
Right.
in small business. So you need to have a certain amount of doors with liquidity and volume and profitability and
Yep.
occupancy. And so if you were to sell too big of a chunk, then you would lose
So
the,
you lose one side, but you'll be really cash rich, but you'll be net worth poor. You'll lose one or the other,
yeah.
So, that's kind of my credit score report card when I go to banks and I go, here's my card. And honestly, Josh, right now I could get, I qualify to 40 million right now. I could go to 40 million bank. They'll give it to me. But now it's the question, do you want to buy something, Jose, right now, or do you want to wait? So, so my portfolio was all planned. And through I was growing, the banks were telling me, look, if you sell, we don't know how to collateralize the liquidity because you don't have any net worth anymore. You have a lot of cash, which could be wiped out immediately, but the buildings is what they want to know. Can we partner up with you, so in case you're gone, we take over the property? That was the simple term, which is fine with me because they're non-recourse. They're non-recourse loans, so I
Oh,
could really,
interesting.
yeah, they're all non-recourse. All my loans are non-recourse. I mean, if I were to say, here are the keys, I walk out, they don't come back after me. There's some little provisions which we could talk about it. It's all legal, but it's good. It's good debt.
Yeah, that's,
Cheap.
man, that's awesome. I'm so enthused talking to you, just because it's so different than the way that I expected to go. Because when we had conversations years ago, you were an agent and you were doing the single family game, and you were a player, you were moving,
Uh-huh.
but the direction that you went here is really interesting to me. So when I lost all my properties in 2008,
Mhm.
when the market collapsed, one of the guys who was giving me advice before that happened, his name was Matt, and he was telling me to pump my brakes. He's saying, Josh, pump your brakes. It's not the time now. And that's when everything was going crazy, right? Well,
Mhm.
I didn't listen to him. I lost a lot of my net worth, and then I had to rebuild again. When I was rebuilding, I sat down with Matt 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and he took a similar path to what you are now, where he's a syndicate. He syndicates a lot in Utah. Um,
Mm.
and they do new build syndications
Mhm.
where their projection, they find the land. He a lot of times has to go and argue with the cities or get the
Yeah, yeah,
ability to build. And then they build, and their play is to keep their money in for 5 years and then refinance out through bank financing, and everybody gets their money back to go and syndicate the next deal. And so they still have an ownership partner in that
Oh yeah.
project, but then
Yeah.
they're on to the next deal, cash back in their account,
Right.
10% in apartment building, 15%, 20%, whatever it is. And he's got a guy of really high net worth that is the one that goes to the bank and gets 70% financing. So he's got a guy that's worth $100 million, great credit scores, everything else. He's the guy that goes up and applies at the bank. He
Right.
gets a portion of the building just for using his books.
Mhm.
And then everybody else gets a portion of whatever is left remaining after he took his share for their contribution to the 30%. And then they cash out, everybody gets their money back, everybody's got a share, and then they move into the next deal and do it again. I'll have to put you in contact with him. Brilliant guy,
Uh-huh. That'd be great.
trustworthy as they get, and maybe you guys can do some business with each other. Um,
Yeah,
he's
maybe.
and I don't know if he's doing a lot. He started looking outside of Utah recently because building costs and everything started getting more expensive there, I believe. But I'll put you in contact with him. I'll text you over his
Yeah,
information.
yeah. You know, a lot of investors, they contact me to be that partner that you mentioned, which we're basically the general partner,
Okay.
because they're trying to make a step
Yeah.
to get financing. So I become one of those.
So you use your books and
Yes.
your books and your net worth and your properties to get that 70% loan, but it's a non-recourse loan. They just want to see that you have the assets.
Hmm.
And so then you get 10%, 5%, 20% of his building
Right.
for using none of your own cash, just using your books and credit. Brilliant.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I only have one right now, and but only because my model, I've been so busy. So now a lot of them are contacting me and saying, "Hey, do you want to be a partner here on a lot of buildings?" So I'm just and they haven't worked out because I underwrite all my deals. I underwrite everything. So when they bring it to me, it doesn't match what they're saying. So I help them out, and
Yeah.
then they do it or they don't do it or whatnot.
I'll have to put you in contact with them. Maybe you guys can make some money, and I want to bring value. I mean, and you said it to me yesterday when we spoke, because it's important for me to always bring value to somebody that's bringing value to me. And
Uh-huh, uh-huh, that's right.
yeah, so I'm going to have to jump into this a little bit more and look at some of the multifamilies because, like here in Hawaii, a lot of these big buildings here are going to be folding.
Oh yeah.
They're saying already 30% of tenants aren't paying. 30 and 40% of tenants aren't
Um,
paying in Hawaii. It's such a tourist-based industry that everybody's jobless now. And so I assume that some of these big companies with big buildings are going to be going under. And so
they really are. I'll send you a report after this, which I got it from. He's a partner of mine. He goes to Harvard and he teaches economics. So I'll send you that report he created, and it does show that transportation and the airline industry won't rebound until average 6-7 years after this whole hits the bottom. So
oh
after
gee.
the bottom, it's still going to rebound until 6-7 years, even with government help. It's just that's how long. So that tells you the travel is going to probably drag on longer. That's just
Yeah.
the forecast right now, and those are numbers from September, forecasted from prior numbers, which was not a pandemic. It was September 11th.
Oh shoot.
September 11th. Yeah. So now imagine pandemic. It's different, but
Well, 'cause
right now it's a little different because the government's being really proactive. Though back then it was taking forever.
yeah, but nowadays, I wonder how long people are going to be afraid to even get on a plane. Like, how long are they going to be nervous to sit next to that guy next to them? And how nervous are they to walk into an Airbnb or a hotel or a rental car that somebody else has used? I think that there are going to be some habits that are built over the social distancing aspect of this that's going to be really hard for people to decide that it's okay to
I'll
get
tell you
back out
something.
there.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I think a lot of even me, all Americans, even the world, I think we don't have we have a really short memory. Like in September 11th, when that happened, nobody wanted to go on planes. I mean, literally, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna fly a plane. A year, 2, 3 years later, a lot of people
right.
came back in planes. As simple as it sounds. So with this pandemic, with what's going on, I think I have a lot of faith on the American people. They're gonna come back. They're going to say we're going to bounce back as a V-shaped economy. Is my prediction. This is what I think based on just what I've seen and what I hear, and in the industry, it'll bounce back. Unfortunately, for the business owners, it's a little more challenging because even the money they're getting now, I mean, that's only fueling what they already paid and lost, but they still need money to even rebound again.
Right. Right.
You
They've
know,
got to start over in a hole now rather than starting over here. They've got to start over in
they
a
got to
hole.
start over. Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, here in Hawaii, so Kona is one of the major cities here on the island that I'm at. Have you ever been to Kona?
I haven't been to Hawaii in
Oh shoot,
general.
man.
I
You
haven't
got to
left
come.
California to that other time of the world, which I look at I'm like, I need to do a wallpaper and have it like that. But no, I haven't been out there. I want to, but
If
hopefully.
you come, all the islands are super cheap. Like I can hit any island in like a 30-minute flight in 20 bucks, 30 bucks. Like it's so cheap to inter island hop. But our island, Kona is one of the bigger cities here. Normally it is the biggest city. They've got a Costco, Walmart, Target,
Oh wow.
all the commercial industries or the commercial stores of a big city. Um, but it's only a city of 11,000 residents, and only 8,000 of those are permanent residents. About 3,000 are
Right.
snowbirds. So
Wow.
right now with this pandemic happening, it's normally a city of 70 or 80,000 people. There are traffic jams. There are bottlenecks. There are all the problems of a bigger city. But right now, it's now back down to a city of 8,000 people. And so if you go to Kona, it's a ghost town. There's nobody out there. All of the small time, like, and you look at Craigslist and there's so many businesses for sale. All of the guys were renting 5 or 6 Polaris slingshots. They can't afford them anymore. They're selling them for way less than they're worth. They're selling their little shacks in Kona where they would rent those out from, the surf clubs, the diners. So many of these businesses were reliant on the 70,000 tourists that were living on the island at a time. None of them are here. They're
Oh
all
wow.
closed. Who cares? The Outback Steakhouse can now do carry out. There's nobody buying it. It's
Really, you don't have any customers.
yeah, it's really interesting in such a tourist heavy area to just go into them and go, man, this was hustling and bustling a month ago. Because now there's a quarantine order here on the island. If you fly to one of the islands, you're mandatory quarantined inside of your house for 14 days. And it's not like the shelter in place orders that most of us have. You can't leave your house even for groceries. The only thing you can leave for is medical purposes. But
Wow.
you are stuck in your hotel room for 14 days, and they won't let you use Airbnbs now. Airbnbs are now illegal on the island until at least April 30th. So you have to go to a hotel room. You can't leave to go and eat. You can't go and pick anything up. You are stuck in there. So
Oh wow.
essentially, there used to be 35,000 travelers hit an airport per day in Hawaii. Last week, there were 400.
Wow.
It's just
Nobody's moving.
no. So in conjunction with the large properties, there are so many of these condos and multifamily houses that were catering to the travelers or to the condo owners. I wonder how many of those are going to be turned up. Have you converted any of your properties from hotels? I did it once in Brigham City.
Uh-huh.
It was a small unit. But have you ever converted any of the condos or the timeshares or hotels over into multifamily housings?
Well, all my portfolio is multifamily, 100%. I never had any hotels or Airbnbs. I never had none of them. I just believe so much in housing, you know?
Yeah. Well, and
So it's,
I bought a hotel in Brigham City and turned it into a multifamily property.
oh, wow.
They were all just little studio apartments, 17 little studio apartments.
Wow. That's very good.
And so I wound up selling it and getting out from it. But I wonder if there's not an opportunity there to buy some of these buildings and turn them into multifamily properties. I don't know. Something I'm going to have to consider after talking with you.
There's a lot of more involved on that. I look at the jobs, I look at the growth. There's other external things I look at, not just like, for example, I could go to Cleveland, Ohio, and probably buy myself 100 unit for maybe 800,000. Let's just throw a number just to exaggerate the scenario. But the problem is there's not a lot of influx. There's not a lot of traffic. So those are things I look at, and then you look at income, jobs. There's no jobs, and that nobody's going to pay you. So those are things that we could talk, and I could share you, how I look at that. I mean, California, Silicon Valley is really good, because it's like the capital of technology, right?
Right.
But other markets like Oklahoma, when I bought that building, I did my research and find out, where does all these people work at right now? Are they dependent on the FedEx? If they're all FedEx, I don't want it. As
Right.
FedEx goes, I'm done.
Interesting. Have you ever looked at one place that I always thought would be a great rental market for me was Bentonville, Arkansas. It's
No.
it's Walmart's headquarters.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll be really good. I'll share you something, and not to divert, because I read a lot, and Amazon and Walmart, and I think Walmart, and don't count on this. When you hear about it, we could talk about it. I think Walmart's gonna knock out Amazon. I really do think so.
Really?
Yeah, Walmart has more concrete buildings than Amazon. And for those reasons, they get quicker deliveries than Amazon. And Amazon is fearing that might happen. They're just uh, Walmart is just heavily investing right now in getting their deliveries faster. That's where they lack the technology on the online presence. That's where they're lacking. And
Yeah,
Amazon is backward.
interesting. But they
Yeah,
could deliver essentially. I mean, they have a Walmart in
you do
every
find.
small town, right? Every
Yes,
town has a warehouse in it. Where
yes,
Amazon has in the major areas like 2 or 3 in California, and
right.
but Walmart has one in every small town. Essentially, if they had the same delivery platform and online platform, they could deliver to every customer within 2 hours.
Yes.
Not
They'll
not
wipe them out. They'll wipe them out. So if you buy something, I believe in Walmart. I believe in that they're gonna grow magnificent, like much more than they have. And so if you buy something, you're good.
that's an interesting concept. I'm going to study more about that because I see where you're going with it. I think you could be right on that because they've already got the real estate established.
Yeah, they
They
do.
don't.
They have the real estate, the infrastructure. They already have it. And Amazon is doing the delivery, but that's why they have that. That's why the warehouse business is going up because everybody's becoming a broker on Amazon selling products. So when you buy products, what do you need? You need storage. You need a
Yeah.
warehouse. So that's why. But if Amazon goes out, all those warehouses are done.
Well, and on Walmart right now, you can go to walmart.com. And I was just looking at buying something on walmart.com. So I live in a little off-grid place here in Hawaii. I was looking at a projector that could hook up to my phone so that I could watch, just project in bed there. And they're like $60. They're super cheap. But a lot of the sellers of that were not Walmart. You bought it through walmart.com, but there were a lot of other companies that were selling their
Oh,
products on Walmart's platform. So interesting. You said I never even thought of it.
yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the stuff I look at all the time when I'm buying, because you're looking at an employer and you dig deeper. Like, how long is the longevity of this employer? I mean, FedEx is good. I mean, I just don't like depending on one. That's the key.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well,
like income sources, right? You need to have a few other sources than your main job if you look at it that way. Because if your job goes out, you'd be filing unemployment like a lot of people are doing now.
right. Well, when you're looking at FedEx, or I just was reading USPS, the post office is they're looking pretty grim right now. So
Yeah,
people can now email and you can DocuSign and mobile
yeah,
notaries. These
yep,
shipping companies, if they don't start shipping this stuff for the Walmarts and the Amazons, that's their saving grace, is that type of shipping, because the normal letters and mails and small packages that have kept those businesses open for years, they're going away.
yeah,
So,
yeah. No, I
yeah.
like it. I mean, that's what's going on. I mean, it's an incredible market. I'll send you that report. I think you're going to get a kick out of it. It's
Yeah, I'd like to look at it. I don't want to take a whole bunch of your time today, and you've given me a whole bunch of stuff to invest in.
yeah, right, Josh.
I might come back to you and see if you would if I could hire you to do a little, because that's how we met. Was I came and did your few days up there in California.
Look at us, huh?
I might return that and pay you to give me some tutorials on this. So let's keep in touch, and I might reach back out to you and say, hey, how much would it cost me to learn how to flip some of these bigger buildings?
I'll leave it on this because I love it. Money is great, but I have a purpose in here, and I just in my life, and I think these last 2 years have changed for me completely. So whatever I could help you, there's no monetary. I'm more of there's an abundance out there. As you know, it's just who wants to do it and who wants to go to the unknown and pull out from the unknown. That's just the way I look at things. And people don't want to go sometimes to the unknown. They want to go
Yeah.
to the certainty where there's no darkness. I'm not that guy.
Yeah, and I'm not either. This looks so interesting to me, and something that I haven't done, and so it's something, it's that next hill to summit. It's that
There you
next
go.
climb that I'm looking at it going, man, this is something exciting for me to look at. So I mean, it gives me goosebumps thinking about something new, exciting in real estate, because the same old, I've done so much, that now this is, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit you up. We're gonna talk more about this. So,
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
awesome, Jose. You've brought a ton of value to me, so I appreciate your time here talking to me, and I'm sure anybody that watches this will get a ton of value out of it. So, man, I
Yeah,
appreciate it so much.
me
Thank
too.
you, and
Yes,
I'll keep in touch.
me too. It's a pleasure, Josh. Just stay in touch after this. Have a
Yeah,
good day, and look at that. Say hi to the family, by the way. Okay.
I will. Paula's in the house now. I'll go and tell her hi and send a message to the kids.
Okay. Take
So,
care.
cool,
Bye.
man. Thanks, Jose. We'll talk to you
Okay.
soon, brother. Bye
Bye.
bye.